Whoa, Ben the Pen Man uploaded a video? That's crazy. Like, doesn't do that anymore, bro. Like, whoa. Alright guys, so today I'm going to be showing you what I've been working on for the past couple of months that I haven't been uploading. And I'm going to show you guys how to make custom Pokemon card decks. So I actually made a video about making these custom decks a while ago, and as you can see I'm here showing you a little bit what I did, and I made this little Totodile card. And I went over the process of making these little templates, and then I also went over making the art, and it was a pretty cool little thing I did. I really enjoyed making that video. And I had these templates now, so now I can make all these custom cards I did. I actually made another video a while ago just going over how I made a couple of cards for Pokemon that I designed myself. There were these little starter trio, and that was really fun, and I just used this template, and it worked out really, really well. But I lost all of the files. So here I am showing off the new template that I made. I base it off of some of the images. I had images of the cards, but I didn't have the files where all the template was, which I actually still don't know what I did to them. But here I'm showing you this little template that I made. I also added in the ability to add Stage 1 and Stage 2 Pokemon, which I think I added into the other template, but I'm not sure, and also I never used it. But here it is. You can see I can change what it evolves from, what stage it is. You can also see me changing the name. I guess right here you see that I'm making a Swampert card. I'm not going to add any art to it because it's not one of the ones in one of the decks I made. But you can add abilities, you can add moves, and yeah, so here I am making these. And so I guess the intro was kind of quick. But basically, what I'm doing here is for my siblings. So as you guys probably been able to tell, judging by the amount I've worked on these Pokemon cards, I really like Pokemon cards. I also really like making Pokemon cards. And last year for Christmas, I made my family members, my little brothers and sisters, some Pokemon cards that were custom for them. It had them with a little Pokemon next to it. I believe I've showed off a couple of them in the custom Pokemon card making video I made. That first one. I showed how I made those holographic. But I decided I had this wonderful, great idea to make my life harder by making an entire deck of custom cards for them, which meant that I did not have time to make any of them holographic. Also, I don't think that would work in a deck, those holographic cards. Like, I'm sure I could have glued them on better, but they were like taped together, and it was like, best you got is like in a binder. Like, I don't even think it would work if you put them in like just a sleeve. No, it's bad. But yeah, here you can see is one of the cards I actually made. It's Carabot. He's one of the starters that I made in that other video a little while back. And as you can see, he's just a normal card. And this is kind of what the template I can use to make it. So basically what you need once you have the template is you need card art, and I had to make one of these for almost every card in these decks. And I made 5 separate decks, a fire one, a water one, a grass one for all the starters, and I also made a psychic and a steel deck, which were based on some of the legendaries that I basically designed. And we'll see those in a second, but what you see me designing here is a little Pokemon I made up called Oinkole, which evolves from a regional variant of Spoink that's a fire type. So it's kind of like a copy of a fire type Grumpig, but his name is Oinkole. And I think he's a pretty fun little Pokemon. You'll probably see that, yeah, I'll show off all the cards later. You'll see the Spoink then. But basically I just decided I wanted to show you guys the process I have of making the art for these cards. Because I had to make 55 different cards to make all these 5 decks, including energies. But that meant a lot of art. So I had to make these pretty quickly. So I just do the line art here, And then I'm going to use a bucket tool to pick out the colors. And this is actually the first time I ever picked out colors for Oinkle, this Pokemon. So you'll see me change a couple of colors along the way, and that's just because it's my first time working with them, and I'm trying to make sure that it all looks like kind of how I want Oinkle to look. And yeah, you'll see me change the face, and the ears are going to change later too, after I try and start shading. Which is not a good idea, by the way. I want to pick the color scheme first, but it was when I started shading that I realized that I didn't like it. But yeah, here you can see me adding the little yellow bits in the fire. This is just kind of how I think of fire in Pokemon. I normally wouldn't do fire quite like that myself. I'd like more gradients and stuff, but that's just how they do it in Pokemon, and this is a Pokemon, so that's what I'm going for. And it's after I finish doing the shading on these ears that I'm going to realize that I don't like the color of the ears. I want it to be darker. Actually, I'm going to finish shading just about everything. But yeah, as you can see, I'm using a little tool that'll just like make an area of color. And it's a pretty nice tool when you're trying to do this kind of like cell shading almost. I am going to do a little bit more with it later so that it'll work. It'll look better. But for now, I'm just doing this, and I think it's about now when I decide I want to change it. Yep, changing the ear colors, because I don't like them. And then I have to change the color of the shading too. I'd hope that I could just like use a little tool to change the color of it, but it wasn't looking quite right, so I decided to just get rid of it and redo all the shading like it is. And this is sped up, by the way. This is not how quickly I was doing it. I'm not this fast. But now I'm doing the eyes. I got a little airbrush tool to kind of make it look better. And this is the part where I'm kind of making the shading look a little bit better, adding more softer highlights and stuff. And as you can see, if you take out the base colors, it actually looks pretty cool. So I actually started saving some of these like whited out versions of the Pokemon just in my computer, because I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with these, but they look cool. But now you can see I'm doing the background. I already had kind of a base for the background. I used it for the Spoink, and I just wanted to edit it a little bit so it didn't look like the same background, even though it was kind of based on the same thing. But as you can see, I'm making it really basic. I'm blocking things out with a brush, and then I'm just using an airbrush to kind of make it all come together. And here are the final cards. So as you can see, I made a grass deck. There's a little alternate evolution for Diglett in there. The starter, Folioth and Arboroth. And so here's the water deck. You have Carapod and all of them. As you can see, there was a Haxorus. That was actually requested by my brother because apparently there's never been an ultra rare Haxorus card. And so I made a Pokemon Z, which is just kind of a ultra rare version of cards that I made up. It's really not that different from a V or an EX. They're just basic Pokemon that you can just put down, and they're 2 prize cards. I also made a couple of errors in these. You probably won't have time to read it, but on some of them I misspelled the word energy. I spelled it energy, which was weird, but I did it. But yeah, as you can see, I'm going through these decks. I just have these little Totodiles and Charmanders at the end to kind of fill out the extra cards. And then I had to print it. And then I had to laminate it. And as you can see, lamination is very slow. And as you can see, this took a very long time. It's bad. There were like 68, I think, pages that I needed to cut out here, and I had to laminate them too. And as you can see, I just cut the Charmanders and the Totodiles off so that you can see that this is every card that I need to cut out. And it's a lot, but it's pretty cool looking. I think they turned out really well. It's just that it took a very, very long time for me to get all of this done. And there was a lot of work to do. And as you can see, the way it was printed, this wasn't like this before when I printed them. It might be something to do with how I exported it to a PDF first, but there's a little white line between each card, which means not only do I have to cut them apart, I have to cut the little white bits off. And so as you can see here, you can see me actually doing the cutting of the cards, and this is sped up. And then what I do is I get a quarter rounder and I cut them. Something that you may see if I ever show you the backs of the cards is because it wasn't printed quite perfectly. Sorry, my head's in the way a lot here. But because it wasn't printed quite perfectly, there's going to be white on the backs, and I found that if I try and cut that off, it's going to make the front of the card look bad. So I need to go through every one of these. And as you can see, I'm making 2 of each of the 5 decks, so it'll be 10 decks total. And as you can see, I'm kind of separating them and doing them at the same time. So this, you can see me here, I'm cutting out the energies for the 2 psychic decks. And that's all this clip is, it's just the energies. And it's sped up, like, quite a lot. And it didn't look all that bad, right? But that was 30 minutes. So it took a while, but here we have it, the final deck. Now, this is the one that I made for myself. It's the steel deck. And as you can see, it's got a lot of trainers, and it's got a lot of energies in it. And you'll see why in a second. I'm dropping some cards there, but that's fine. It's got a Snorlax card in it. It also has a little steel bug that I made, that I designed, called Spike-a-Pillar. It eventually evolves into Spikoon and Ferrofly. And yeah, here I'm showing you again that there's like whitening on the edges of the backs of the cards. And that's just because it didn't print correctly. And if I cut it off, then it would make the front look bad. Yeah, I do recommend these. Now these are thicker than normal cards. They're laminated, so they're like covered in plastic. So it's not like as bad as of using a regular card, but I still recommend sleeving them. Mostly because I cut out so many that some of the edges were a little rough. Oh, and this is Takeo. As you can see, he's actually on the back of the cards. I showed you that little custom back a while ago. And, there he is. So now you can see him, and he's a Takeo Z. And his attack, I don't know if you read it, but basically you need to discard the top 5 cards of your deck. Oh, and there I am showing off my typo, Energy. But his attack, I need to discard the top 5 cards of your deck, and every metal energy is going to make the attack do more damage, which is why this deck is like half metal energies. But yeah, so as you can see, I made a lot. These decks are also really thick. They're thicker than a normal Pokemon card, and so even though this is 60 cards, it looks like twice the thickness of like a regular deck. It's really weird. And as you can see, Snorlax has a move that lets you get stuff from your discard pile, which is why I added him in, because I was worried that if you're discarding 5 cards every time you attack, it's going to be bad. Here I'm showing off the energies. I actually did like make these energies, but I also like stole a lot of it from pre-existing energy art. But I added some little lines around it, and they look pretty cool. I think they look pretty cool. But here you can see me shuffling up the deck, and I'm going to kind of do like a mock couple of first hands just to see how it works. And spoiler alert, it doesn't go well, at least in terms of me being able to fight. So as you can see, I have some basics, which isn't easy in this deck because there's not many Pokemon. I had to put in so many energies. And then I got a Takeo and a Spike-a-Pillar. And there's not really much else I can do. I'm thinking, oh yeah, I can use this supporter, which is basically like a Marnie. It's one of them, but it wasn't. So I just use the switch mostly because I'm trying to be entertaining and do something, but I can't really do much. Because the rich ores take it from the discard pile, and I didn't have any energies in my discard pile. So yeah, basically it's not the same as a Marnie. You need to shuffle your hand into your deck instead of shuffle it and put it at the bottom of your deck. I just thought I would try and be unique, even though I'm really just stealing stuff from pre-existing cards. But yeah, and then I try and draw the cards, and I still don't have much to do. Got an energy though, that's good. But anyway, so basically at this point I just realized there's not really much point in me doing anything, because the ritual takes things from the discard pile, which I haven't been able to get anything in the discard pile yet. But anyway, at this point, it didn't work out. hopefully that was just an unlucky hand. I haven't really tried this deck all that much. Just with Christmas and stuff, everything's been crazy. But yeah, that's the deck. And there you can see me trying to fan out all the cards so you can kind of see them. But yeah, it's been really fun to make these. If you have a lot of time both to make art and to cut things out, I recommend it. I think it's really cool and I'm glad I made it. If you don't have a lot of time, maybe just make one or two. But custom Pokemon cards are really cool. It's been awesome. And I'll see you in the next one.